here with your forecast for the week of August 22nd, 2022. That's 8/22/2022. So if you're numerologically inclined, there's a lot of twos there for you. And you can add it all up, and it's a lot of even numbers. You can come up with something. Well, I'll leave that to you. I'm doing the astrology. Somebody else can handle the numerology. Well, all those twos make me think about something, but I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so here is what I would call the centerpiece of this week. Uranus stations to retrograde on Wednesday. Okay, that's it. That's the there's the story of the week. That's the highlight reel. When Uranus stations, we have a lot of potential for innovation. We have a great deal of potential for brilliant insights, for finding new ways to do things. This is happening in Taurus, so maybe on a very practical, physical level. Uranus stations can be inspiring. They can be positively enlightening. They can cause a bit of a revolution and a bit of a revolt. They really make us want to be independent. Really want to be independent when Uranus stations. So starting on Monday, but especially Tuesday and Wednesday, and then lingering into Thursday, there is this kind of, I want to do things my way, which is fine. It's great. No problem. Well, you know what? It might be a problem is that everybody's got this, right? The collective Brownian motion. Everybody is doing their own thing. Well, if I'm doing my own thing and I run into you doing your own thing, that's a little bit of a challenge, right? So as everybody's off on their own path, we're not necessarily thinking about how to harmonize with others. We're thinking about how to get done what we need to do. So a good strategy for this week is to have some alone time, probably working alone independently rather than collaboratively. Although, if you can get people together, if you can get people together to join the revolution, it is a pretty good energy for doing stuff together, but you got to really wind up on the same page. I would say for most of us, the first part of the week, give others space, take space for yourself, watch out for impatience, watch out while driving, because people can be rather impatient when people are always impatient when they're driving, extra so when it comes to a Uranus station. So Monday, especially Tuesday and Wednesday, and keep an eye on Thursday as well. That's the sense of things. Great potential for innovation, brilliance, but also impatience and unexpected. Uranus stations are a little bit, well, if you go to tarot, Uranus stations are a bit like the Tower card. The lightning striking the tower, the people falling out of it, the tower cracking to pieces, which you'll think about it a little bit. The tower does not look like the kind of place you'd want to live, right? The tower is a pretty awful looking place. Getting knocked out of it may be a little uncomfortable, but you'd be better off getting knocked out. And that's a Uranus station. It breaks up complacency. That's the theme of the week. We're breaking away from complacency. And we have a lot of changes that go on this week that are kind of supporting this whole thing. First of all, we're coming off of Sunday's Mercury Neptune opposition, which really fogged things out for the end of last week and into the weekend, including doing things like making this forecast. So, we'll see what happens. And then what happens on Monday is that Mercury falls into a trine with Pluto. Pluto's in Capricorn, driven kind of energy, Mercury in Virgo. You might actually be able on Monday to sort of put some things together out of all that nebulousness. You may actually find some real valuable things. This is, you get a lot of silt when you're panning for gold, but you may find a nugget in there. And Monday, even with the Uranus station and stuff like that, Monday is great for, precise work and precise communication. That really helps on Monday. Now, later on Monday, earliest Tuesday, if you're on the West Coast, the sun leaves Leo. Yeah, and goes into Virgo and begins the tour of the lesser sign, other signs, leaves his home of Leo and goes into Virgo, which will add a little bit to that sort of looking for precision and stuff like that as we go along. The sun in Leo at the very last degree of Leo on Monday, though, sort of suggests that that independence, that drive for independence and my way or the highway will kick in the Uranus station a little earlier. That sort of suggests Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are all kind of working on the same, well, working on variations of a theme. Again, independence, great energy, independence. So we got to be a little bit cautious about it. And then what else do we have going on this week? Well, now Mercury, Mercury had this Neptune thing going on, right? And opposite Neptune. And what's the very next thing? While he is opposite Neptune, steps into the shadow of his upcoming retrograde, September 9th. So the fogginess of the Mercury-Neptune aspect sort of carries on a little bit. Now, Mercury in his shadow is not Mercury retrograde, and it's really closer to the other side of the, it's closer to the station retrograde on September 9th that we'll really have to deal with mercurial mishaps. However, things that come up, mercurial things, even with that Mercury-Pluto aspect, communication issues and stuff, technology things that come up as issues now may not get resolved until during or probably after the retrograde. I wouldn't be particularly concerned about it if it wasn't for the fact that Mercury is going to again aspect Pluto while he's retrograde and then go forward. So great energy for precision and precise work, yes. But is it necessarily that you're going to get to the finished product? Maybe not, maybe not. So moving on in the week, we have the new moon, which is exact on, I'm using crib sheet over here, which is exact on Saturday, the 27th. Well, it's really, it is exact on Friday, the 27th, early in the day. The new moon in Virgo is always a time when we are looking at what needs to be done for the rest of the calendar year. This is the kind of, well, the Virgoan season is, it's the end of summer fun. For those of you that live below the equator, just adapt. It's the end of the summer, and Virgo brings us back into routine and all that crap, it's definitely a more work-oriented time. It becomes possible to work because it's not necessarily quite so hot and humid and all that type of thing. So the Virgo energy of work is strong, and at the new moon we start to say, okay, well, what do we have to do now? What remains to be finished in 2022? In the astrological calendar, which begins in Aries, we're not that far along. But in terms of the yearly calendar, we start thinking what needs to get done before we get to the new year and all that type of stuff. We have a busy period coming up, and whoa, September and October, very, very astrologically hot. But what needs to be done? So this is the consideration on this new moon. Just consider it, right? You're gonna wait a little bit to actually even make a commitment to doing anything, because you don't want to make that commitment at the new moon. This is, you're sorting stuff out. Speaking of sorting stuff out, Venus is opposite to Saturn on Sunday, and that colors our weekend. Now we have some pretty good energy coming into Friday because the sun is square Mars. It's active. active, but it's still new moon. But this Venus-Saturn opposition, well, let's say, if you're looking at this as a relationship energy type of thing, it could really be a decision time. It could be like, okay, where are we? What's going on? There's been a lot of possibilities percolating with Venus and with Uranus and all that type of thing. A lot of possibilities percolating over the course of the last little while. Now, Venus opposes Saturn. It's like, okay, well, which of those possibilities, which of the potentials are we going to go with? You know, within our relationship, or is there a relationship or something like that? Similar kind of thing when it comes to finances, also too when it comes to, you know, just general aesthetics. You know, for those of you working on creative projects, this could really be the time of saying, what's working and what's not working. More generally, just as not everybody has any of these things going on, more generally, Venus in Leo might be interested in something a little bit more romantic, fun, individual. Saturn in Aquarius might be a little bit more about hanging out with friends and doing a group thing. You know, it could be also too, you know, Venus in Leo says, well, let's just have some fun. Let's go to the movies or the beach or something like that. Let's get a little bit of late summer beach time in. And Saturn in Aquarius is like, well, I was really planning on going to the political rally. That sort of polarity. Yeah, you know, it's definitely something that you can work out. Both of those planets are very Libran in nature, so compromise is, you know, it's not difficult, and it's something that we can kind of look forward to if you start getting into a little bit of a tense moment there. So that's the basics of it. That's the basics of it. We're winding down to the new moon. We're winding down to the new moon. That is always a time that feels a little bit lower in energy, but Uranus is perking things up. So beginning part of the week, you want to follow your inspiration, but give others space. Do your own thing. Don't expect a lot of cooperation. You're okay if you're doing your stuff. After midweek, we get a little bit more of a serious vibe coming in. It's a fairly productive end of the week if you're looking to be productive. And then the weekend, well, you know, new moon, Venus opposite Saturn, you know, it's still sort of summertime. So, you know, maybe you could have a good time. And well, we'll see about that. We'll talk about it next week.